Greetings, John here again, and today we're going to do some time travel of our own. That means we're going to compare Quantum Break, the finished product, with some of its demos shown in the lead up to its release. Quantum Break was announced all the way back in 2013 before the release of Xbox One, and we were given our first taste of the game at the reveal event for the system in May. We wouldn't have expected this very early footage to bear any resemblance to the final game, and yeah, it does look pretty different, but it's fascinating to see just how similar it really is. Just 1 month later at E3 2013, we received another demonstration. This time, Remedy presented a scene in which time was frozen as two main characters entered a room in order to unfreeze someone else. It wasn't clear at the time exactly what was going on here, but we were pleased to discover that this scene made its way into the final game, albeit with different and much better writing. Clearly, this demo is a cut above the final game in terms of image quality and visual quality, with significantly more detail present in the scene, but it still looks quite nice in its final iteration. You can also see how the color grading has shifted from orange to blue in the transition to the final game, a theme that is carried across the entire experience. Also, Jack's partner in this demo, yeah, she's seen in the final game, right here. Okay, so those early demos didn't really show us much, but in 2014, Remedy returned with a lengthy demo showing a whole lot more. This is where things get really interesting. All of the content in this demo is actually present in the final game. The animation work, camera angles, and flow of the level are all basically identical. Right away, we can see that actor Shawn Ashmore was not yet in the game, however. Instead, Sean Dury takes the lead in this original demo. But the work poured into bringing this particular Sean into the game was not actually wasted, as he shows up instead as the cabbie driver Nick. Nice touch. Okay, as we continue, you can see that things look very similar indeed. Some changes to the lighting were made, but the final game looks somewhat more realistic. Headlights and associated specular is overwhelmingly bright in the original demo, as you can see here. We did spot some extra texture pop in here in the final game, however, but hey, at least it proves that it's all real time, right? Then we have the water shader and reflection effects here, which appear to have been modified for the final game. Also note the change in wardrobe. Jack now sports a shorter coat in the final game. Important stuff, right? Moving on, we see a new tarp here in the final game as well, and some extra steam emitters in the demo, giving it a slightly different appearance. Then, as Jack takes cover behind these crates, you can actually see the difference in color grading, with the final game having more of a bluish tint, as well as a reduction in bloom lighting. This becomes even more pronounced whenever we encounter the time skips. The final game has a very strong blue tint in this mode, while the original demo has more of a silvery appearance. Lighting also appears to be stronger in general in the final game during these time skips, but really, all of these changes seem to be a purely stylistic difference rather than a technical one. The finished game also seems to utilize the view warping effects on a more frequent basis. These same distortion triangles also seem to stand out more now. Though we did note some missing particles here as this car slams into the ground. Oh, and how about the ship scene here then? Aside from some minor changes to the water and lighting in this scene, it's basically identical to the demo version. It seems that Remedy nailed down this particular moment very early on, and it's certainly a very nice looking section. In this next bit, notice how the debris is warping back and forth in the final game. Something missing in this original demo. It's just an obstacle that players will have to contend with, but it wasn't yet implemented at the time. Moving on, we see more dramatic lighting and effects work in the final game once again. Sometimes it can be a tad too strong, though really it looks better overall, we feel. There's also some evolution in terms of gameplay at this point. In this scene, players must manually rewind time to remove the truck, while in the demo it's just rolling back and forth through time automatically, forcing you to run through as fast as possible. Okay, so this should give you a pretty good idea of how the finished game stacks up. It's clear that Remedy was already on track back in 2014, and the final release is a polished up version of what was shown. Most of the differences could be chalked up to artistic changes rather than technical ones. Now, in comparison to the 2013 demos, however, clearly a lot has changed. but really the game was very early at that point, and in its final form it still compares favorably. Anyways, that's all for now. If you enjoyed this video, be sure to like and subscribe, and until next time, this is John signing off.